Good morning. Welcome everybody to our part 3 series. It's been 3 weeks and they've been a lot of fun. So if you've been part of our journey throughout the entire 3 weeks, welcome again. And we're so excited to have you be eager to want to know a little bit more about the Kiva Loan program. Just a little recap, if you missed the first one or the second one and you're joining us today, you can find our videos that we recorded on the part 1 and part 2 series on our YouTube. And after I'm done speaking, I'll go ahead and I'll link the YouTube channel to this chat. If not, you can let us know, send us an email, and we can go ahead and send you those 2 links. If you want to go ahead and go into the next slide, Michael. My name is Laura. I am the executive director for a nonprofit organization that does work with small businesses alongside the light rail corridors in Mesa and in Tempe. And so we do, we have a really big, I say it's huge, a huge track of small businesses that we help. And I can always explain a little bit more, but we do downtown Mesa. We do the Latino district in Mesa. We do the Asian district in Mesa. And then we do the Apache Boulevard area in Tempe. And so if you want a little bit more information about the work that we do and the small businesses that we help, you can always let us know and we can send you more information. Today we're going to be covering how to craft your story, which is the 3rd part and the most exciting part. And I'll be handing it over to Michael, he'll initiate that. We'll also be, we'll do the trustee introductions next. We're going to go ahead and do the Kiva overview. We have a special guest, Jessica Gonzalez from LISC, that'll be talking about the Kiva trustee and also the involvement with LISC. And then we'll go through next steps and then we'll go into Q&A. So with that, I hand it over to Danielle. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
I think we might have lost Danielle. Do you want to take it over, Ali, while we wait for Danielle?
Sure, definitely. We'll go over the agenda here. The trustees that are on the line are excited to be a part of this great program through LISC. We'll talk a little bit more about trustee responsibilities and how we support borrowers through the process and the benefits of working with the trustee. I myself am Ali Nervous. I am with Phx LOC Organizing Committee. We're a grassroots organizing group focused on community wealth building. And our area is focused in the East Lake Park area of downtown and also extending into South Phoenix. Each trustee will be covering a portion of this presentation, and we'll let you know a little bit more about their organization as well as their the area that they're focused in the city. So if we want to go to the next one. If we want to go to the next slide.
You're muted, Michael. I don't know if you were talking.
And I was muted. So thank you, Ali, for that. Wanted to finish up just 2 quick intros, myself, and then once we get Danielle back on the line too. So I am the trustee for the Miracle Mile on McDowell Corridor. The businesses that I serve are on McDowell Road from 7th to 20th Street. However, we do also work with businesses in the trade area from Van Buren to Thomas Road and then 7th Street to 24th Street. And Danielle, I see you're back on. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you everyone for being with us today. I am Danielle Luna from the International Rescue Committee. Oversee our small business development program there, where we provide one-on-one assistance with starting businesses, expanding businesses, providing small business loans, credit building programs, also a Kiva trustee, and we prioritize the corridor from 7th Avenue to 19th Avenue, the Camelback corridor there, and within that vicinity. So here to assist you in any way that we can through this process or any other assistance you may need with the development of your small business.
Great. And then Jessica, our LISC partner.
Alice, I oversee our equitable economic development work at LISC Phoenix, and you'll hear a little bit more about the Kiva LISC program in just a bit.
Great, thank you so much. And let's get started.
All right, so once again, Jessica. The Kiva LISC program is a program that LISC joined in 2015 in collaboration with Kiva. Kiva is known to provide crowdfunding opportunities across the nation and initially starting internationally. The product that is offered in the US is unique to the US because it provides small businesses the opportunity to not only receive capital and raise capital through their crowdfunding platform, but also it is associated with match dollars, and that's where LISC comes in. All of the loans are character-based loans through a very unique underwriting criteria that Kiva operates in regards of not focusing on credit scores or anything like that, but really focusing on the nature of the business and really kind of narrowing down on what are the access to capital needs and what are the barriers that this particular business may have and how this product can help them access to that in a little bit more ease. And so through the COVID-19, Kiva and LISC has joined forces to not only continue the match dollars and adding more to the pool, but in addition to that, raising the max amount to $15,000. And so for some entities, they have the ability, once they go through the underwriting process, to scale up to that amount. And also there has been a grace period relief, 6 months for repayment. So it does work with the business owner to provide greater flexibility in repayment. Of course, the terms are 1 to 3 years, so then it allows the business owner to quickly pay off the loan and so forth. Something unique about the Kiva program is that each business is endorsed by trustees. So entities like RAIL Mesa, Trellis, Phx LOC, and IRC Phoenix are considered our local trustees. And so providing that opportunity to develop relationships with those trustees and really get to know how they can be a full breadth and arms around your business allows for that relationship to happen and have a guide and support system for you through this loan process, and of course access to any other resources that they have. The way the match happens is that businesses can be approved for up to $5,000 in a crowdfund campaign. Once the crowdfund campaign runs, then there's match dollars associated to that, which then brings it to the $10,000. And for businesses that qualify, can get up to the $15,000. So LISC matches dollar for dollar, each dollar raised, and then up to the max of $5,000. And so with that, we can go to the next slide. I mentioned the responsibilities of the trustees, and so these are really community advocates, community supporters for small businesses. And so what they do is they make themselves accessible to their community in the various areas that they're serving, and identify businesses that are in need and have the will and capacity to run a campaign. They evaluate and work with the business to see if they're in the best position to run a campaign, and that could be a variety of different reasons. A lot of what this program does is really this series that the trustees have provided. It gives them the ability to, what are the key components that are important to running a successful campaign? And one is understanding your finances, and another is understanding your marketing and your voice in your community and how you can engage audiences to contribute to your campaign. They endorse the campaigns, and so they become a partner with that business to say that we will work with you to help you through your repayment process, but not only through your campaign, but through your repayment process as well, and making sure that you have the resources to meet that need, and then any other support that they have. And so LISC is proud to partner with these entities and really help build their capacity to bring this product to the community in as most accessible way as possible.
Great, thank you, Jess. And Danielle, you're our budgeting expert, so looking forward to hearing from you about the cash flow strategy. Oops. All right, and so Laura, you are our other co-host on this. You want to grab this?
Yes, I do. And so this is just a small overview of what we had covered in the second part of our Kiva trustee series. We just wanted to reiterate that when you're looking at your strategy to make sure that you're assessing the damage of your business, we understand the struggles that we've been facing because of COVID. And so when you're looking at your small business and you're looking at how much money you've lost, and we have her right here. I'm just letting her in. Assess the damage of I just lost my train of thought, sorry. So assessing the damage, and I don't know if she's here, so she can take over if not.
Sorry about that. Man, I don't know what's happening here. Yeah, so there are two key parts that are essential to your Kiva campaign. One of them being outlining specifically what your asks are, what your needs are for the business. And then the second part of that is sharing your story, which we will continue to dive deeper into today. But when you're going through and determining what your costs are, what you want your ask to be, a few steps that we've covered in this process are first assessing any damage that may have been resulted from COVID-19, any direct losses that may have been experienced, or seeing what your needs are financially and kind of taking that down on paper and assessing that damage. Revisiting your business plan. So are there some things that you're going to need to, pivot, to change or adjust? Maybe you need to adapt to an online model or delivery model. So keeping that in mind and adjusting your budget as needed. Are there going to be additional costs associated with the changes as you begin to reopen your business? Are you going to need to purchase additional sanitation supplies, for example, masks for your staff? So taking those costs into consideration as
And I'll finish off for Danielle is really I would like to invite you to watch that second video on YouTube. There's a deeper dive into the cash flow and analyzing your funding strategies. Of course, one of them is Kiva. So we do have a really special guest who is a two-time Kiva lendee. And I'd like for Christy to introduce herself and her business. And I've got just a few questions before we move on into how to craft your story. Welcome, Christy.
Thank you. I appreciate being here, and I appreciate all of the hard work that these organizations are doing in order to support small businesses. Social Spin is a local chain of purpose-driven laundromats, and we have two primary focuses. The first is to connect our customers to care through laundromats. We've transformed them into vibrant social hubs that celebrate arts, culture, and community, as well as connect our customers to care, things like healthcare checks, voter registration, job-seeking services, housing information. While our customers are doing their laundry, which is typically weekly, they're able to connect to a variety of service providers that they request to help them meet their needs. The second part is that we employ individuals with barriers to employment. Right now we're focused on youth transitioning out of foster care and adults with disabilities. 75% of our employees do have a cognitive or developmental disability. We are, as Michael mentioned, a two-time recipient of the Kiva Loan, and we're honored to be here.
Great. Thank you so much, Christy. And I've got my trusty questions here. And so let's talk about that. It's the second, you're currently on your second loan. And how's your experience the second time around different from your first loan? What have you learned?
The second loan, we had a much more specific need. The first loan we requested was when we were still in conceptual stage, and I wasn't quite sure if we could achieve both the vision and the financial requirements. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking to apply for our first loan. We applied for our second loan 2 years into our business, and at that time by that time built a strong support from the community. We call them our community champions. And we had a very specific need, a piece of equipment that we needed in order to open our second location. So I would say I was much more confident in our request and much more comfortable because we had developed a relationship with Kiva, and I found them to be an extremely kind lender. So we were able to be even more authentic in our second application.
And Trellis and I, we were honored to be your second trustee. Did you have a trustee on the first go around?
We did. Our trustee was an individual. Yep, our first.
Wonderful. So definitely is a great service because we're here to support our Kiva lendees. And the last thing, let's talk about story. So what part of your story do you think really connected with your lenders in your second loan?
Within our second loan, I think it was we had built trust amongst our lenders because we had been open for 2 years. I think that was part of it. And we actually requested our second loan right after we had finished paying off our first loan. And so we had celebrated on social media that we paid off our first loan and received tremendous reaction, positive reaction. And then about a week or two later, we had mentioned that we were applying for our second loan and could use lenders to support that campaign.
Okay, dynamite. And thank you for being on. And you'll also be here for Q&A. So we appreciate that so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great. Well, let's get on into a story. And if you haven't gone to a Kiva loan request, it's really pretty neat. You've got the photo, you have a little personal story, the business story, and your ask. So we're going to go through all those different stages and then how to share and connect with lenders. So, right, this is about you, the power of your business, what makes you unique, but also how do you connect with those lenders? Well, first of all, one of the things that they're going to see as soon as they go to that link is your photo. And well, we've got two photos here. I guess you can tell which one is the better photo. And let's talk about what needs improvement. So, right, it's a little bit dark on the photo on the right. You can't really see the lendee's face, the borrower's face, and I don't know what the business is. However, over on the left, we definitely have a tea and herbal business. The photos are horizontal, so that's something to remember, and that information is also available in a Kiva guide, which we trustees will share with you. So wonderful, we've got that power of the photo. So let's talk about your personal story, and this is what I love about Kiva, is it allows you to share your personal story. And we've got two slides. So this one is kind of a boring PowerPoint slide with a lot of words and bullet points. Here's an example of how changing your story really changes how you can connect with folks. So in the next couple of slides, you're actually going to see business owners who have applied for and had their loans funded. So Leah Beckett from Herd Supply Co. In her personal story, it's great because it gives you a chance to really be honest and tell about your passion. What makes you unique? Why are you so excited about your business that you started it? And I'm going to move the little photos out of the way so I can see. I love this quote from her story. I spent more time with sheep than people. So this is her talking about growing up on the farm, and it led to her first word being ba, and cemented her lifelong love of sheep. And so her business is, not only does she raise sheep, but she works with other farmers who may not be able to sell their wool because the quality is not quite right. So they collect that wool and they make hypoallergenic pillows. And yeah, so this was neat. This is what her loan and her story helped to connect with those potential lenders. So once again, photos. This is great. So you can see what Tina does. Tina Daniels from Concrete Rose Construction. She does construction. She's there. She's carrying those 2x4s, and her ask was, you know, why is her loan important? And it helped a passionate female entrepreneur make a name for herself in her male-dominated industry. So your business description now is talking about how what you do is unique, how it connects with the community, and really it's tying into that, because you're making connections with somebody who's reading. So why do I want to lend to you and your business? And this is it. This is you know, your story of your business and you. We're going to be talking about a local borrower, Tan, and Danielle will fill us in a little bit more on exactly how quickly the process went for him. And was it easy? Was it hard?
Yeah, so Tan was one of our most recent Kiva loans here locally, and the process that he went through was really detailed in the sense of determining what his expenses were. He was forced to close as a barber shop due to COVID-19, forced to close his shop, and so went through and determined what the most prioritized, most important expenses were that he needed to address right now. And that included rent expenses, electricity, and also some of the marketing costs that would be associated with getting new customers once it was time for him to reopen. So after gathering those costs and putting together the story of what led him to this profession, to opening this business, the campaign first went through the private stage where, you know, contacts that you know are able to contribute to the campaign. Then it went live to the whole network, which is across the globe. And he was able to meet his fundraising goal of $2,500 within 24 hours. So, you know, the community was really eager to give back, to you know, contribute to this business and support him through this difficult time. With that, you know, they're able to invest in him and get that money returned to them as he starts repaying. So it was a great way to help pay for some of the expenses that have come up as a result of the current crisis. But in addition to that, it helped him to connect to new customers. So now a lot more people know about his business that might not have known about it before. And so there are a lot more people there to support as he's beginning to reopen and become customers.
Wonderful. Thank you, Danielle. And so the purpose of your loan, right now, of course, we're facing the challenges from COVID-19. And in our second webinar, we talked a little bit more in detail how you can find out what your needs are and really get those figures down. In the story, when you're asking for this loan, you're actually laying out X amount of dollars is going to rent, or perhaps even though I need some money to cover myself during this period, I also have plans to expand. So you can tell that story. Like I've got a coffee machine, but you know what, we're gonna upgrade to the next level so I can make twice as many coffees at the same time. So really the purpose of your loan is to tell those potential lenders how you're going to spend their money and give them the warm, happy feeling that, yeah, this is a business that I trust with my money, and I know I'm going to get that back. Okay. And finally, from me, before we move on, another local success story. So Sandra Flores from Azucar Coffee, she was able to, just like Tan did, connect with her private contacts. And so there's 2 fundraising periods, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. There's private and public, to get her loan launched, to share it amongst all the other people. And Ali, I think this was actually a little bit more on your slide too, so I didn't go too deep. I'm gonna switch it over to you.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks.
And hey, everybody. So yeah, so it's been mentioned a few times, this piece is really the exciting piece of sharing your story, sharing why the funds are needed and the impact that it would make. And that's something that we really wanted to convey. Azucar and Sandra did a phenomenal job of communicating that in their story, in their why, of why these funds were needed and the broader impact that it would make, right? These are character-based loans. These are being donated from the community or invested by the community, you know, to help the business, but also to see a broader impact in the community and society and in the world. And I wanted to just share a few of the statements that were made in her story to see the emotions that evoke, and just kind of give a sense of what we're talking about here. So in her, and Sandra's also one that has successfully raised twice using Kiva, one to open their location and then another to grow it, to get new inventory and new equipment in. So here's what it says in the story. I learned that I have to have footing and independence if I want to change and improve the world around me. And need is in all caps. I need to create this business so I can empower myself to help the community where I was raised. Without this business, I'm working on someone else's vision, and I believe my vision and mission could be very impactful for South Phoenix, right? So I don't think anybody could listen to that and not want to contribute to it, right? Not want to help that person and support that person on their journey of making the world a better place, right? Making South Phoenix a much more vibrant community. And if you've ever been to Azucar Coffee, that's exactly what it does. It makes it a vibrant community. It's a great space for community. They hold a lot of events there, and they have a great product. They have a great business. So that is the beauty of this aspect of the Kiva process, is getting an opportunity to share your story using your own language and really convey to your potential investors, you know, what it is that you want to do through your business and the impact that you want to make. Okay, and then on the next slide. So we're going to talk a little bit about the process and kind of intertwine how this conveying the story works with the entire process. So we've gone through this a few times in the past week, so we won't deal with it too much. And the trustees will go through it with you when you actually go through the process. But just so everyone understands, once you're working with a trustee and we send out the link to invite you to the process, everything is completed, you would create your story, and that's something that we help with. And then the trustee would endorse the loan and the campaign starts, right? So once the campaign starts, there's a private fundraising period that lasts for about 15 days. And what we mean by private fundraising, we'll deal with a little bit more on the next slide. The private and the public fundraising. So as you prepare for your campaign, something to think about is the private fundraising piece is before the campaign actually goes live on Kiva website for everyone to see. There'll be there's a need to reach out to your network, work with your trustee to galvanize the support of your network, your community, your fans and followers, your customers, family, friends, everyone, to ensure that you can successfully raise the amount that's needed. and the number of investors will vary depending on how much is being borrowed. So I wanted to give a brief idea of what that looks like, and thank you, Michael, for sending that over. But usually it'll range from around 15 people to around 20 to 25 people, depending on the amount that's being raised. So as we think about that, as you prepare for your campaign, it's a limited amount of time to secure that number of people. So that's something that should be thought about, and a list should be compiled even before the private fundraising leg starts. Right, we should already and we'll help you with this. We should already know who are these people that we're going to reach out to for the private fundraising piece. What does that outreach look like? And it's important to remember that this is a loan. It's going to be repaid back. So and as we mentioned before, this is something that can continually be accessed. So as we reach out, we want to make sure that people understand it's not a donation. It's not something that they're just giving to and they're never going to receive their funds back. And there's a broader impact tied to it, right? So that's the private fundraising piece of it. And then once that is successfully accomplished, then there's a public fundraising, and that's when it goes live. It goes out to the broader network of investors. It goes out to the rest of the community. But we still want to be mindful that it is incumbent on the borrower to raise those funds. There's support that's out there, as we saw with TAN. The community rallied behind it, especially in a time like this, and the funding goal was met within 24 hours. But when we think about being proactive and preparing, we also want to make sure that we have a plan and a strategy on how we're going to reach out to those during the public fundraising campaign to make sure that the goal is met. And when we get to Q&A, which we're at right now, if there are questions about that, I know that there are trustees on the line who have assisted through both the private and the public fundraising. Christy obviously has been through the private and the public fundraising process, so happy to answer any questions about that. So at this time, we'll open it up for questions, either on the unmute or the chat box, I believe.
And
a
a few people came in after, and so if there's questions about the beginning, please ask them now. Welcome those that joined us just recently.
Yes, welcome. So yes, you may need to unmute if you have a question, or put it in the chat box.
Right. Christy had brought something up that I've heard a couple other potential lendees asked is you had an issue with the matching funds, right, Christy? What was your question about that initially?
It was just confusing to know if the funds were matched instantly, and what I was seeing as a goal metric included the match or did not include the match.
Great, and the answer, of course, is as soon as someone makes a $25 contribution, it actually equals
boom,
50.
Double,
yeah. So we'll definitely be sure to remind you when you're getting these Kiva loans. Something else I loved was your story about how you were able to expand the number of people in your private fundraising. So how did you make that list and were able to get those 20-something folks quickly?
Yeah, so we use social media, primarily our Facebook page, to not only announce that we were applying for our second loan or fundraising for our second loan, but also to show gratitude to those who did give. And so we were fully funded within 72 hours. So it was a constant post of gratitude to our champions, which I think reminded or inspired others to give quickly. We actually didn't have a phase 1, phase 2 of who we should ask because by that time we had developed a strong community of support and just simply posted it on social media.
Super. I did like the one comment about how I think you had an aunt and uncle who, instead of just doing one loan or one loan, they split it up into two for the private.
Yeah, that's right. So I was very clear in communicating that we had two specific goals. The first was to achieve 25 lenders within a certain time frame, and then the second was to have it fully funded. So our supporters knew that if they had a household of 2 or more that could contribute, that they would individually contribute rather than combining their investment. That allowed us to get to our initial 25 much quicker.
Great, thank you. And to the callers and guests on Zoom, what are some questions that you may have?
We have one on the chat box that asked, is this available on demand? Too many people missed this discussion.
So we are recording this, and we do have the first 2 videos on the RAIL CDC YouTube channel, and this one will be available no later than Monday.
Yes.
Great. And I think, Laura, were you going to share that in the chat box? And
Yes, I already did. Yes.
okay. And if you're calling in, how do I find your YouTube channel?
I posted it, great question. I posted the YouTube videos link on our chat box, and I will actually link it to our RAIL CDC page, which is railcdc.org.
Okay.
And then to go a little bit deeper on the question that we received, when you asked if this is available on demand, do you mean the funds if they're on demand, or maybe you can ask us or elaborate a little bit more on that question to make sure that we're answering it correctly? Oh, perfect. Okay, great. Yeah, so I'll link that information over. And if you want me to go ahead and send you an email with the 3 links after we post this discussion, I'd love to share that with you. And if you want to send me your email address, I can send that after this call.
Great question. All right. And I'm checking my text to see if anybody, I did have somebody also ask about the recording. Any other questions or comments from the trustees for Christy, or just in general about this webinar? All right. Well, dynamite. This has been, I hope, an informative webinar. I know it's fun for me helping the lenders craft their story, taking photos. I don't like to get my photo taken, right? That's me. We may all feel like that. So it's fun to work with some friends, work with family to not only find that story, but maybe get some second or third eyes on your personal story, on your business story, get some feedback. We'll provide feedback as well, but you've got a great support system in your friends, families, contacts. Remember that you can reach out to neighboring businesses, perhaps organizations like churches. If you don't have a huge social media presence, or even if you do, ask, could you share my story? Because really we're trying to connect with the community and help my business grow.
And if you want to connect with us, I think it's the next slide. Our information is on there. If you can connect with all of us, or you can connect with one of us. And if you're interested in the loan product, we'd love to go deeper in detail with you personally. And you can schedule a time with us to sit with you virtually and have that conversation. If you want to take a screenshot of our contact information, if you'd rather more comfortably us just share it via email, please let us know and I can share that with you, or any of the trustees can actually share that with you. I think we've been saying this in the last 2 loan series parts, that take advantage of all of us, because we all have something to share with you about your small business and the help that we can provide. But if there's someone in the areas that you live in that you feel more comfortable connecting with, then you can take down our information individually.
Dynamite. Thank you all so much. That was great. I think we have a last slide that says thank you, and we truly mean it. Thank you, and we're honored to be able to provide any services we can. So just reach out, like Laura said. Well, thanks again for viewing. We hope you watch RAIL CDC's YouTube channel. Remember to like and subscribe. There's a little YouTube humor there. All right. And if the trustees want to stay on after, or, you know, Christy, Jessica, you're invited to do a little breakdown.